Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons and Dummies, a weekly podcast following four friends as they battle across a homebrewed world called Antiriath in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Step into our mystical world called Antiriath and follow our party of three dummies as they adventure across the lands. Talluk Grug, half-orc, half-mystery, the fighter, played by Taylor. Boddynock Greenleaf, the halfling rogue with a penchant for taking things that don't belong to him, played by Josh. And the ever-mysterious Eclarian Shadow, half-elf ranger from the Eclarian Mountains, played by Seth. And last but not least, the creator of our beautiful world, the man of many voices, and our dungeon master, Sam. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode is the first episode of Book 2 of our Unstable Evolution campaign. So if you have joined us on this journey to this point, then on behalf of all of us at the show, thank you so much. And yeah, listen to last week's episode. It's entitled Book 1 Recap. That'll get you caught up all the way till today. And I guess, yeah, that also goes if you're a new listener. Check that out, and you could start right here. So on their way back to the Confluence Guild Hall in Bilyatok, the party is attacked by an unknown stranger, a mysterious moon elf, who carries a speak scroll. Boddynock sends a message in the speak scroll asking for a reminder on where we were to meet after the job was done. We receive a clue back that's written in Dwarvish and seems to say something with a port and a boar. Upon returning to the guild hall, we spoke with Bushi. He said maybe there is an old bar in Overport called the Drunken Boar. The party also has questions about what they believe to be the source of these strange animal mutations, the orb. The orb was not in the hands of the druid upon their last meeting, but in the hands of some strange ape man called Dr. Zaius. As many questions as answers are on our party's mind as they begin Book 2 of the Unstable Evolution campaign.
So, after all that recapping and everything, y'all are back at the guild hall. It's the next morning. We had talked about doing a little bit of downtime stuff while y'all do some guild quests and whatnot. So I think the way to do that is, I know Seth and Taylor, y'all have both mentioned some stuff that y'all wanted to do. And so I think we do that stuff, and then y'all take a look at the guild board at the end of all that.
Yeah.
So, who would like to go first with their downtime stuff?
Shadow?
I mean, I just want to go down and check on the port bar.
Yeah, you wanted to follow up on that lead from the...
While wandering about in the southern woods.
Yeah. Okay, so let me pull up here. Yeah, so you had got information about the Drunken Boar. Might fit the description of the two dwarven words, port and boar. It's in the city of Overport. So, pulling that stuff up, I was looking at the map. It would normally be like a 10-day journey by foot, but if you are going on your horse, it would only be 5 days. Now, that said, I was digging into the map a little bit more because I had originally just done that looking at the road. But after I looked at it a little bit harder, I think you can actually get there pretty significantly faster than that because the road isn't as direct of a route. And so if you're going through your favorite terrain, which you could do for most of the trip, all but like the last day, I think, what did your favorite terrain give you?
Cuts it in half, right?
Yeah.
I think it cuts it in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could get there in, we'll call it 3 days plus the 1 day not in your favorite terrain. So I guess it'd be 4 days still.
Okay.
So it's a good little trek. I mean, it's all the way down at the southern tip of the peninsula.
Okay.
240 miles. But since you're not going as the crow
Jeez.
flies, it's like 200 miles. Oh, that's what it was. That's why it saved even more time. I was trying to do the math. It's 3 days because you're cutting it down. You're cutting the distance down, and you're going through your favorite terrain. So it'd only take you 3 days, Mr. Speedy Boy, on your speedy horse.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to head on down to Overport. Like I said, it'll take you about 3 days to get down there. Once you arrive, Overport is a big, bustling city. It's, like I said, a major port city. There's the main feature of the town is the large docks district. Think like what's that? Not Seattle. Is it Seattle where the Space Needle is?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got the fish. They throw the fish and stuff. That kind of place.
Yeah.
Real fun place. Just a lot of activity. Obviously, a lot of seedy stuff. Vendors and people trying to sell you weird knickknacks and stuff on the side of the streets and whatnot. As you get into town, you start asking around a little bit, and you find out pretty quickly where the Drunken Boar is. And yeah, you want to make your way over there?
Yeah, I'd probably set up, across the street, watch it for a little bit, and then I'd probably see if I saw anything that resembled the assassin or anyone else that I thought either spoke Dwarven or was Dwarven, coming and going. Not very long, an hour.
Yeah, if you want to do some research here in town, then let's make it a skill check, a skill challenge.
Okay.
And based on how many successes or failures you get, you'll get certain amounts of information. You just tell me what you would like to do and try to argue for what skills you want to use. Ones I'm thinking: investigation, persuasion, deception, stealth, that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
literally just sitting across the street from the bar looking at who walks in and out. See if they're a dwarf or not a dwarf.
Okay, so just doing perception to start with. Just based on your roll, we'll see what you are gleaning. You're sitting across. We're going to assume that Shadow has a certain number of skills that might be beyond what Seth's skills are. So we'll see what you see.
12.
12. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, Overport, this whole peninsula has a pretty heavy dwarf population. So you see several dwarves milling about all around town. It's probably, 40% dwarf, if not more, not closer to 50% dwarf in this town. You see a lot of dwarves milling in and around the place. You see people going in and out of the place all day long. You don't see any elves that look like Miss Monlier. You don't see anybody you recognize, really.
Okay, so I'll just go into the bar.
Alright, so you walk into the bar. What are you doing? You gonna ask around?
Just gonna get a table in the corner.
Okay.
And just observe and listen.
Alright, so you're hanging out there. Let's flash over to what's going on with Mr. Talluk at the moment. I recall you had something you wanted to go do, but there was something else I wanted to talk about.
Go ahead with what you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so the next day you're waking up and, putting all your gear on, and you've found yourself waking up almost snuggling up to the long sort of pallid light like it's a teddy bear. And you wake up and you're like, this wasn't even next to me when I went to bed. I was sitting on the ground or whatever. And it's beginning to whisper a little bit louder. It's not saying as many words like you heard when it was thirsting after blood. It just sounds hoarse. It's just like going, and you just get this really eerie feeling from it.
I've just woken up and I'm laying in bed next to it, kinda.
Yeah, this is like the day one after Shadow left.
I think I'll kind of pick it up in my hands and look at it and be like, "What did you say? What are you saying something?"
It just hisses out, just.
What do you need something? What is that? What's going on?
It says, thirst.
Thirst. I'm gonna grab it and kind of like put it on the floor and tuck it underneath some cloth and stuff and be kind of just creeped out.
Yeah, so are you gonna hang out in the room or do you leave?
No, I think I walk downstairs, leave the sword in the room. I'm gonna walk down. I'm at the guild hall, right, in my room.
Yeah, yep.
I'm gonna walk downstairs and see if I can find Bushi.
Okay. When you get to the top of the stairs, make me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh. Okay. That is a 7.
So you get this just knot in your stomach, and as your first foot goes to step down the stairs, you just freeze and you cannot move any further down the stairs as you just feel like you have to go back.
Okay, so I'll start slowly walking back towards the room.
And you start to feel better the moment you start heading back towards the room.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the sword up. How do I feel now?
You feel this uneasy sense of relief. It's it settles that tightness in your stomach, but now you have a unsettled, swirling feeling.
Okay, I'm gonna take it in its sheath and put it all across my back, sling it over my shoulder, and then head back downstairs and look for Bushi.
Okay, so yeah, you find Bushi. It's he's behind the desk checking speak scrolls, and he says, good morning to you.
Hey, Bushi, you got a minute?
Yeah, sure, what you got?
I'm just not feeling so hot, and I've got this sword, and I pull it off my back and hold it like in my two hands, flat out, my palms up in front of me. Found this thing in Fort Red Shield on the mission at the Summerhill you had us go on, and lately it's I don't know, I've got some kind of strange connection with it, and it seems to even talk to me. Does that sound crazy?
He says, I mean, I can't say it's the craziest thing I ever heard, but it certainly sounds a little bit crazy. Let me see here. And he's just kind of looking over it. He's not touching anything. He reaches out to touch the hilt, and as soon as his hand touches the hilt, he kind of pulls back like it's hot. He's like, yeah, seems to be something going on here. We might need somebody a little bit more experienced. Come with me. And we'll flash back to Shadow in the Drunken Boar. It's been a couple hours now. You've been watching patrons go in and out, and you haven't seen anybody that you recognize. Is there any other check that you wanted to try?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one because I'm not trying to do any checks. I'm literally just trying to see, like, just wanted to watch who walked in and out, see if there's any doors. So there's a bunch of doors, and I'm sitting there and I'm walking for people talking in, harsh tones or whatever, hush tones.
So like I said, this is a seedy place. It's a sketchy bar, and so all day long, I mean, you're not just hearing hushed tones, you're hearing outright criminal activity being discussed regularly. Every third table seems like they're some sort of, ruffian or scoundrel or smuggler or something to that effect.
Does he see any moon elf looking people?
No, there's a distinct absence of anyone that looks like Monlier. Actually, make me a history check, unrelated to the skill check on her.
16.
16. So yeah, especially with your time in the Clarion Mountains, you would know a little bit of history on the Moon Elves. About 5 years ago, there was a awful famine all throughout the entire world, and during that time, the Moon Elves that lived in the Clarion Mountain range were, used to always had peace with the people of Fev, but through the strife and trouble that famine brought, the Moon Elves were actually all but exterminated by the dwarves of Fev over territorial issues during that famine, as the dwarves pushed into the mountains and were farming, and not farming because it was very hard to farm, but as they were harvesting anything they could from the Moon Elves' land. It was a very bloody time. It's been about 5 years since that time, so seeing a Moon Elf is actually very rare these days.
Okay. I'm going to walk up to the bartender and set one of these wyvern darts and say, know where I can get some more of these?
Okay, yeah. Make me a persuasion check.
18.
Okay, so he picks it up and he rolls it back in his finger, not unlike the bartender in episode 2, Star Wars. He says, this isn't a make you see very often. It's the funny little nicks on the side that give it away. Sorry.
Oh my god.
That was a very self-serving reference. Anyways, no, he picks it up, he's moves around his hand, he's like, that's a nasty piece of business there. But I might have a buyer. Comes in every now and then. Knows a thing or two about poisons.
Does he sell?
Oh yeah, he sells. I think they mostly ship things around. Don't know how much local product they move, but I'm sure for the right price, they'd be willing to give you some of their stock.
When do you expect to see him? How often does he come in?
I'd say once a week or so, but it's been a little while since he came in. If you're hanging around for a little while, he might come by.
Okay, so I'll just return to my table.
Okay. He says, you gonna buy anything, sir?
Oh yeah, I'll order a water.
He's like, that'll be 5 silver pieces. Kind of gives you a nasty smirk.
I hand him one.
He says, I said
and walk back to the table.
5 silver pieces.
I heard you.
Okay. He lets out a whistle, and 6 guards, or not guards, 6 rough-looking thugs stand up from tables around the room and start approaching you.
So you're gonna make a big deal over overcharging the man? 5 silver? I know your patrons around here don't like to be robbed.
It's not about the silver, you see. I gave you a nice little piece of information, and that comes with a cost. It's not about the water.
Oh, you want to pay for information? I'll give you a whole gold coin. Why didn't you just say so?
Thank you, sir. I was trying to be a bit subtle, but I'll be taking 2 gold coins on account of the trouble, if you understand.
Seems like a fair price. Let me know when the fellow you're talking about comes in.
It's a pleasure doing business with you, sir. Alright, so let's jump back over to Mr. Grug at the guild hall. Bushi takes you over to a familiar face, Mr. Jalal Miku, the tiefling from Asajiski. And he's outside, he's cataloging some insects outside. He's got them pinned down to a little board, and he's sketching them into his notepad when you walk up. Says, oh, good to see you, Bushi. And Talluk, right?
Yes, and you are Jalal, if I remember correctly.
Yes. It's good to see you again. You guys look like you've got something on your mind. Can I help you?
Yeah, I felt better before. I was just talking to Bushi. This sword that I picked up a few weeks ago is it's rather strange, and I hold it out to him. So you ever seen one like this?
Says, let me take a look. And he looks it over without really touching it. He touches it and kind of pulls back the same way, and then he slowly goes to take it from you. But you feel a tug that you don't want him to take it.
Okay, I kind of like hold on. I don't like pull it away, but I've just tightened my grip on it.
Yeah, he doesn't fight you for it. He says, let's go to my room. I need to consult my books. And y'all head upstairs to his room. He starts pulling things down. He says, what did you say you found that again?
I found it in a chest in an abandoned fort full of goblins. I don't think it had anything to do with the goblins. A specter of some sort, a will-o-wisp, came out of the chest, and yeah, I've carried it ever since. I don't know much about it. It seems to also be able to cast a light off and on, either dim or bright, however I command.
He points to a table next to you. He says, would you mind taking it out of its sheath and laying it there?
Yeah, I do that.
So you take it out, and he looks over. He gets out like a little monocle loop and looks through it and everything. And after reviewing for a while, he says, this symbol here, I swear I've seen that somewhere before. He's like, maybe, let's see. And he starts rifling through some books. He's like, this might take a moment. I hope you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
All right, so he starts going through some different books. Let's jump back to Mr. Shadow at the Drunken Boar. So, several hours go by. You see a few folks come in and out, and one table in particular, you see a dwarf walk in, dressed just really fancy, like has like a bowler hat on, or not a bowler hat, but like a top hat on, and like super nice clothes. Seems really out of place in this particular establishment. Sits down to have a drink and whatnot. After the bartender gets him his drinks and stuff, he walks over. He says, so that fancy gentleman over there, he's not the guy I was thinking of, but I've definitely seen him with that guy on occasion, so not sure what that'll do for you, but figured I'd let you know. And he kind of holds his hand out next to you a little bit.
He's a dwarf?
Yeah, he's a dwarf.
Okay.
In like black tie affair at this dingy pub. He holds his palm out next to you, kind of discreetly.
I dropped 2 gold coins back into his hand.
He smiles. He says, "See, I knew we could come to an arrangement." And he kind of skips back towards his bar. What are you doing during all this time, Mr. Boddynock? Are you eating sausages or?
Yeah, eating sausages, taking naps.
Taking naps. Did you want to check up on your old buddy or anything?
Fuck him.
Fuck that guy.
Dude, yeah, he didn't even come with us. We needed firebombs after, and it's because he stayed at the fucking place. We couldn't get him, so.
Oh man, he can just stay there forever then.
No, yeah, I'll go check on him.
See if he made it home.
He is back. Yeah, so you walk in and he's like, "Hey, buddy, how are ya?"
Alright, I'm gonna immediately walk up to him and slap him across his face.
He says, "You know what? That one, was that for the ink? That,
Yeah,
you know,
it's for a lot
that.
of things, buddy."
He says, "You know what? I probably deserve that too." Anyways, how you been? You guys missed out, man. Oh, after you guys left, it got crazy. There was all sorts of people running around, guards going haywire. There was a alarm sounded. I got into a fist fight with this dwarf, knocked his teeth out. Look, he knocked my teeth out too. He points to his mouth and shows where he's got 2 golden teeth. He says, "Man, you guys really missed it. It was a real rumble."
Yeah. What was the aftermath of it all, bud?
Oh man, things settled down after a little while. I ended up staying there for like 4 days, just having the absolute time of my life. I met so many new contacts. I made a lot of purchases for things that I should never have bought, but I also sold a little bit. I sold my entire stock of firebombs that I smuggled in.
Stupid son of a bitch.
He's like, "Oh, no, I got more. I've been working hard since I got back."
Well, what contacts did you make?
Oh, man, there's this one guy from Volnamesto. He's a Luxodon. You ever met a Luxodon? A big elephant, folks. They got trunks the size of me. Anyway, he says he operates in illicit goods, but really, he's just a big softy.
Kind of illicit goods.
Oh man, all sorts of stuff. He says he's got a little bit of the spice, if you know what I mean. But he's also handles weapons. He'll ship you anything you want. He even say he gets magic items from time to time.
Any other interesting contacts? How about this? How about you just hand me a copy of the people you met?
Oh man, contacts can't just be written down on a piece of
Leech,
paper.
I will slap you again.
He says, "Well, all right. I'll write down a couple names for you. As long as you're buying something, that is."
I'm taking a firebomb too, bud.
Yeah. All right, so you go ahead and dude, I believe they're 50 gold if you want to go ahead and add one. And he writes down a couple names, couple of potential people for you.
All right, Leech, stay out of trouble, you dipshit.
So I'd say the same to you, but I know you're not going to listen. Oh, man.
I love Leech. He's like my
I
favorite.
bid him adieu.
I'll see you around, you piece of shit.
Later, fuckface.
That's their greeting, and they slap each other and then call each other fuckface.
It's very abusive.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, so back to Talluk. So you're just sitting there on pins and needles, bored as hell for like 2 hours, and finally he's like, "Here it is."
I've got the decanter of endless wine.
Decanter of endless wine.
Pouring wine.
Bushi just like nudges you and scoots a cup towards you.
Yeah, I pour some in his.
He was like falling asleep.
I look at Jalal. I'm like, "You want any?" I go like, "Huh?"
He's like, "Oh, no, thank you." And so finally, after several hours of flipping through books, he's like, here it is, right here. See this symbol? And he comes and shows it to you. This symbol right here that's on the hilt of the sword. I knew I recognized it. This particular symbol comes from the royal family of Romsverdi. Now, not the modern Romsverdi that we know today, but the one that used to reside in the Rotwood far up north. See, this family is the one that supposedly brought the undead plague upon the Rotwood, and hence all modern royals from Romsverdi tend to try to shy away from any symbolism from their old lineage, and that's why it's so hard to find. That said, this is quite fascinating.
Talluk is about the same as Taylor when it comes to note keeping. So he just like pulls out a note, like some kind of notebook, and he's like scribbling. He's like Romsverdi, plague, symbol. He's just like, which is literally what I'm doing.
Yeah,
he's just like scribbling words, and he's like, okay. And so what is it?
Well, I can't say for certain, only that this sword was associated with them. But like I said, I mean, it's been several generations. I mean, we're talking hundreds of years since Romsverdi fell. The old Romsverdi, that is. And so this particular sword must be that old.
Okay. Thank you, Jalal. I seem to have some kind of pull towards it, and it to me. I'm not quite sure the extent, but as time passes here, I don't know. It's affecting my mood and all sorts of things. So I'm not sure what's going on.
He'll say, I will caution you to be careful with that. If it really was associated with the royal family, King Dulinar, the last king of Romsverdi before it fell, was supposedly responsible for bringing the undead plague to that place.
I just kind of look closer at the sword as he talks, like inquisitively.
So we'll fade out of that back to Mr. Shadow with your new mark. So he sits there for a little while, orders several drinks. Actually, he walked in with a few other guys, a couple other dwarves, and he orders all of them drinks, and is just generally being the life of the party, having a good old time. He's not like ruckus. He chuckles gingerly like a gentleman anytime something comes up. At one point, you see a guy come in, kind of a shady looking guy, and he pulls out. Make me a perception check to see what he hands the guy. See if you see it. Pretty decently
24.
high. Okay. So you see him hand the guy over some sort of gem. It actually looks like a clear gem, maybe a diamond. Pretty large one. The dwarf takes it, holds it up to a loop, and looks at it, writes something down on a piece of paper, and hands the gem and the piece of paper to the guy. And the guy just turns around and leaves.
Okay. So I'm going to wave the bartender over.
Actually, he comes on over.
And I'm going to hand him 5 silver pieces.
He says, looks like you're learning how things work around here.
I'm going to say, bring me a beer and make sure our friend catches my eye. And then I'm going to pull out my sunstone and just kind of roll it around in my hand while I'm drinking my beer.
Okay. Yeah, so he brings you a beer, and on his way back, he stops and he kind of points back, not at you, but kind of like past you at a table behind you, and you see some ladies sitting at the table that he points to. And then he hands the dwarven guy a cup of wine, and the guy kind of smirks and he's looking at the ladies, and then he looks over and he sees what you're twirling, and he nudges the bartender, and you see him pass something to the bartender. Bartender comes back and says, the gentleman said he's interested in that little rock you got there. He'd love to appraise it for you if you're interested.
I'll just go ahead and get up and walk over there, but while I'm walking over there, I slip the sunstone back into my pocket and I pull out the shadow stone.
Okay. So you're walking over there. I'm actually going to throw in a picture of what this guy looks like as you walk up to him. And he says, good day, sir. Let's see, you caught my eye, the glint in yours. You look like a man of fine taste. Wardrobe aside, of course. Did y'all look at the art?
Yes. Not very dwarfish.
Oh, no!
Oh, he's dwarfish, all right.
Oh, boy.
I caught a glint in your eye, as well as in your palm. I just had to know what it was that you were admiring over there.
Oh, in my eye. Do you mean the circlet of blasting on my forehead?
Oh, no, although that is a pretty piece you have there.
Oh, you know, just bibbles and bobbles I pick up in the mountains. I've become rather fond of them.
I myself am quite fond of them, and he kind of strokes the giant ruby on his chest that's encrusted with diamonds all the way around it. He says, I'm always looking for a rare find, and, tell me, what was it that you had over there in the corner that caught the sun so well?
Okay, is all this stuff under my shadow stone accurate?
Should be. The shadow stone is like the thunderstones and lightning stones and stuff that you found. It's like a powerful elemental thing. The sunstone does not look like those things. The sunstone has it's like carved. It's like a intricately carved piece of orange glowing stone.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell him. This is a personal gift from a dear friend that I have encountered from time to time in the Eclarian Mountains.
Says, "Oh, but do you mind? I would absolutely love to appraise it for you."
As long as it stays in my hand, you can look at it all you want.
Oh, I understand. Everyone's shy. Could you bring it a little closer? And he kind of puts his hands like on the table, like he's not going to do anything. Flips a monocle down, and he's looking over. He says, "The stone itself, peculiar glow to it." And he kind of waves his hand over. He says, "Picking up any magical essence, and yet it glows. How fascinating! Oh, and the carving on it, exquisite. Oh, thank you, sir. That is quite the piece you have there. I'm afraid I cannot give it a simple price, but I would not sell it for any less than 5,000 gold if I were you. That is something to keep and cherish. Your friend must be very kind indeed."
She's, something. I slip both the stones back in my pocket, and when my hand comes out of my pocket, it's got one of the poison-dipped wyvern darts in it again. And I lay it down, and I just say, "What do you make of this? I found this also."
Let me see. That's not my area of expertise, as it were, but I'll certainly take a look, seeing as you were so kind as to let me look over your stone. Make me a insight check.
Oh my god, not one. 3.
Okay, he turns it back and forth. He says, "Looks like a blow dart. Is there a poison on the tip here? That's very dangerous, sir. I'm not sure what it is that where you found this, but I recommend being careful with this sort of thing. You could hurt yourself."
I set a piece of platinum down on the table, and I don't mention it or anything. I just set it down in his general direction, and I say, "I found the first one in my leg, and then I found a few more off the person that put the first one in my leg."
Is that so, sir? Well, then you're a lucky man to be alive, I'd say. He just totally ignores the platinum piece sitting there.
I'd also be very curious to find out how that person got a hold of this and where they got it from. Surely in someone as powerful as you and obviously as well off as you knows of many different circles.
Oh, well, I mean, of course, my connections run far and wide, but like I said, they're mostly in gyms. I would like to say that I had my fingers in all the pies, as it were, but I'm afraid that assassination tools are not something that I delve in.
Huh, what makes you think it's an assassination tool and not for monster hunting?
Tiny blow dart with poison attached to the tip? If it was simply killing monsters, I would think you could use something a bit more direct, not so discreet. Am I right?
I would never come to such a conclusion. But then again, I'm not a well-off appraiser such as yourself. I'm just a simple mountain half-elf.
Well, Mr. Half-Elf, you might consider selling that coin and buying yourself some fine clothes.
Yeah, maybe I will. Anyway, I pull my hood up and I walk back out to my horse across the street.
Mhm.
And when I get over there, I want to get in kind of in the shadow, very, 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 very discreet. You want me to roll a stealth check?
Sure, yeah.
22.
Yeah, so you just blend into the shadows.
Yep, and I'll just wait for old Penguin to come out.
so Mr. Penguin, as you've dubbed him, he doesn't stay much longer. He's probably there another 30 minutes or so, and you see him walking out. He actually comes walking out, sure enough, with one of those ladies that was at the table behind you on his arm. They head out around the corner and down the street.
Okay, and I just calmly meander behind them.
Okay, keeping your distance back behind them.
Yep.
Yeah, so they wander for a little ways. Not too far, just few blocks down, and they turn into a inn and go inside.
So I get the name of the inn.
It's the Hayward Inn.
Okay, and then I go back to the bar.
Okay.
And I ask the bartender as I drop another gold piece down. I say, "So, did your man leave you the platinum or did you take it with him?"
Rummages around in his pocket. He says, barkeeper never tells.
Good man. How often does the gentleman stay at the Hayward Inn?
Couldn't say where he's been staying. I don't keep too much track of that sort of stuff. I try not to have too much information about the goings-ons. Mostly just watch what happens in my bar.
What about his name?
Oh man, now we're asking for real tough stuff to remember. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. 5 more gold pieces magically appear in his hand.
Says, oh, you know what? It was Dudlin. Dudlenn. Yeah, Herbert. Herbert Dudlin. That's his name. I don't know why that slipped my mind, Those dwarf names, they're all the same. This guy's a big, chubby human.
In Dwarven, I say, this guy's got all the answers, doesn't he? And I just fade out of the doorway of the bar and get on my horse and head out into the woods.
Okay. Were you headed back to Bilyatok?
Yep.
Alright, so a few days goes by. Let's go ahead and do some calendar tracking real quick. So it's 3 days out there.
I left on the 12th of Harvest at 7 a.m.
Yeah, and then we'll say, all that fiddling around was a day. So 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I came into town the night of the 15th.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to say all your Overport stuff was the 15th, and then you travel back the 16th, 17th, 18th.
Yeah. So, back in Bilyatok on the 18th.
Okay. About the time that you're coming in, you walk in and you see Talluk sitting there, and he's like grabbing the sword and like leaning over it. It's got the hilt down on the ground. We're gonna say Boddynock's already there as you walk in, sitting across from him. And he's leaning on the sword, and he just looks awful. I mean, he's always looks a little green, right? But he looks physically green. He just looks terrible. Like he's just about to vomit, and he's just clenching the sword. His knuckles are white as you walk in.
So I can't remember up to this point what Shadow would have observed and heard with Talluk and the sword versus what Seth has heard.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you would know really anything about it.
What have you told Boddynock at this point? Because he's been around.
Yeah, I think he's seen me slow. I've been in the tavern drinking. He's been there, and he's seen me like look just kind of worse and worse every day.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's been.
That's true. He's drinking himself to death.
Yeah, the beer is the only thing that's keeping me going right now. Shadow, something's not right with me.
How long have you been holding onto that endless alcohol glass?
I mean, I don't know. Since you left, since we got back.
It's like knocked over and it's just pouring wine on the ground.
When he said the words holding on, I jerked my sword, like, clutched to my chest, like, looking at him, like Gollum, like, when he said, how long have you been holding on? I thought he was going to say the sword. And so I pull that to my chest real tight and hug it.
Boddynock, have you seen something on the guild board? We're leaving tonight. We gotta get him out into the field. The only thing I know that he likes more than drinking is killing, and I just assume we need to get him out there to kill something right now. He's depressed or some shit.
And when you say that, I just look at the sword and I'm like, yes, soon, yes, yeah. To the sword.
Let the sword pick something. It's what you really needs the help.
Yeah,
here.
you hear that? You hear that? Yeah, soon. I promise, soon.
It looked like somebody needed some killing of something that may already be killed. I'm not really sure, but let's go.
Bush, where's Bushi? Is you talking about this undead bard? Yeah, let's go. I gotta get the hell out of here. This place is sucking the life out of me.
Boddynock, you ready? Are you gonna leave any sausages for me? Shit.
No, they're gone.
No, they're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Like shameful. Oh,
How many did you eat? Oh man.
To be continued on the next episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Dummies. Find out what happens to our party next week.